So, do you wonder why it is difficult for Nigerians to totally leave your country despite your xenophobic nature? You see, countries where there has been series of attacks against Nigerians will realize that it will be difficult for them to leave completely. Sometimes the issues or the threats may escalate. Shops may be looted, burned, fights may ensue between the two persons, Nigerians and the indigenes of the land, out of xenophobia. Now, most of them may leave your land or your country, but over time, they may return. Some may not leave. Why is that? This is unlike so many African countries, whereby if there is an issue and they leave a particular country, it will be difficult for them to return. Only very few do stay behind, and most of them do not come back. However, it is not the case with Nigerians. I'm going to explain to you why Nigerians do go back to your country, or why most of them refused to leave your country, despite your attitude towards them. To someone who invited you into their house, or you went to someone's house, and all of a sudden some internal issues started arising between you and the person whom you are staying with. Maybe you are a tenant, or you are just squatting in their house, and over time they started these issues and they decided that a heated argument or problem started and it escalated, and they told you to leave their house. Yes, you will leave due to threat of, if you don't leave here, I will do this, I will do that. However, why will you want to go back to that house? Maybe there is something, or there are certain things that you might have left in that house that may drag you back there to either go and pick, arrange your things, and finally go. The same is applicable to Nigerians. Do you think they are happy with your xenophobic nature? Do you think they are okay with the way you treat them in your country? Do you think they are okay with your instigations, your arrogance against them? Do you think they are okay with all the things you say they did when they did not do anything? Do you think they are okay with the fact that you accuse them falsely? These Nigerian victims, they know all this. However, if they leave your country, they may likely return. They may not return immediately. Some may return within months. Some may go and not return. However, majority of them may want to stay back or return. Here are the reasons for that. Number one, investment. You see, when Nigerians come to your country, they did not come to your country because they do not have a place to stay. No. Nigerians are just like the Europeans who love to explore. Exploring other territories is in the nature of Nigerians. Like when the Europeans came to Africa, they did not come to Africa or relocate to Africa because Africa is developed more than the European nations. No. They saw that the land was virgin, green, where they could sustain themselves if they established businesses. And so they started their missionary journeys. The same is applicable to Nigerians. No matter the country, you will see Nigerians there. So when Nigerians go to your country, you will see them, even if your country is a bit difficult, over time, you start seeing that the country is no longer as difficult as it used to be, because Nigerians always see positivity in everywhere they go to. Now, when they come to your country, they will invest heavily. Why? Because they want to be successful in their businesses. They will check the populations, the demand and the supply, then they will invest. So when you have issues with them, or maybe there is xenophobia and they left your country, it will be difficult for them to totally leave. Why? Because who would want to leave after investing millions or heavily in your land? Because they've invested heavily, not just in their shops, but in your economy, because they pay taxes per investment. So they contribute to your economy in Ghana and in South Africa and in other places like Kenya and the rest of them. So because of their heavy investment, it will be difficult for them to leave completely. And this is part of the weaknesses that most of these countries do hold against Nigerians. That whenever there is an attack or an issue that escalated, before you know it, they will rush into Nigerian shops, break in and start looting their merchandise. Why? Because they know that Nigerians do not just come empty-handed. They invest. They invest in your country. They invest in your economy. And they contribute to the growth of your economy. So it's difficult for them to leave the whole of that investment. So they may leave, prepare themselves again and come back. Some may not want to go because of the millions. Who would want to leave after investing heavy millions, heavy amount of money? The second is assets. Nigerians do not just come to relax alone. They love to expand their territory. They want to go back home and inform their people of how successful they've become. And so, they would also want to have something to fall back on for retirement. It is always in the agenda of a business-minded Nigerian. So you will see them acquiring properties, assets in your country. And they don't just acquire properties, they acquire solid properties in your country, in good places. That is why when you go to most of these countries, you will realize that Nigerians bought properties in their A-list areas. Because they want to be comfortable. They want continuity. If they are expanding their businesses, it's not going to be something of just 1 or 2 years. They will also need to do what? Have a stronghold in your land. And that is when there is an issue. It will be difficult for them to leave their heavy assets, which they bought or acquired from your government or from your people. So it is difficult to leave the assets. Those of them that just came with nothing, they may easily go back. But majority of them that invested, acquired properties and assets, it will be difficult for them. And that is why, despite your attitude against them, despite the way you treat them, knowing fully well that this person is way, way better than you, when you look at somebody who can feed you, you will fight them, enter their shops, loot their shops, destroy their properties, simply because they are in your land. You push them around. You pass certain laws against them, knowing fully well that they are in your land, then expecting them to run away. They are still there. They won't. Number 3, contacts. You see, a good business is established from contacts, acquaintances. Okay? Business contacts. Contacts important in doing businesses. So even if someone should leave a country, it will always be good for them to keep in touch with their contacts, because most of them tend to import from either China. Some do come to Nigeria to buy goods to go back to those countries and sell. So their contact is very important to them. So once in a while, they would want to go back to these countries to have a meet and greet or to supply goods to their contacts. Sometimes their contact may keep disturbing them to come back and continue with businesses. The truth of the matter is this: most of the people fighting against them in these countries are just really agitators who do not have any basic reason for what they are doing, except envy and unnecessary claims. The next point: families and loved ones. When Nigerians come to your country and the business begins to boom, then they may settle down. You see, you get to fall in love with someone that you see around often. It will be mostly people from the area that they do their day-to-day activities in. So it's going to be mostly people from your land. So most times they may marry your sister, they may marry your brother, they will give birth to children who are either half South African, half Nigeria, or half Ghanaian, half Nigerian, or half Kenyan, half Nigerian, or half Ugandan, half Nigerian, or half Zambian, half Nigerian, or half Sierra Leonean, half Nigerian, depending on the person they got married to. Now, when you attack them and they leave your country, what happens to their loved ones? What happens to their wife or their husband? What happens to their children? It will be very difficult because there have been a solid foundation built on love and connection. So it will be very difficult for them to leave. Some of them may just carry all their family along. But remember that it is another issue for them because you drove them out from a land that they have established. So going back to Nigeria, they will also have to start from square one to do what? To get themselves. And most of the time it's not easy. So they may want to keep their loved ones back in your country. They will go back to Nigeria alone to hustle. Some of them may, after hustling, they may come to take their family. But most of them may not want to. It is very difficult to actually abandon things you've worked for in a long while. What's even the essence of this xenophobic attack? South Africans attack Nigerians left, right, center. But you have more than 120 very strong, very big companies scattered across Nigeria. Let us take, for instance, ShopRite. ShopRite is in almost every cities in Nigeria. In Lagos, we have more than 10 ShopRite locations. You are fighting against your own brother in your land, but you allowed foreigners to inhabit and drive you to one corner. The whites that are in your land, are they the originators of South Africa? No, but because they are whites, you will welcome them. But your black brothers, you will fight against them. Don't you think that something is wrong somewhere? Is it Ghana? I'm not going to say all of them because we have good Ghanaians. We have Ghanaians who grew up with Nigerians, who have been loyal and still friends with Nigerians. However, there are still some hoodlums who will instigate. They will just make up stories, allegations against Nigerians. I'm not saying that we don't have bad Nigerians everywhere. No, there are Nigerians who are bad. If you see a Nigerian who is a thief, arrest the Nigerian. Let them go to jail. But I won't support evil. However, do not forcefully accuse them when they are innocent, simply because they are in your land. If we are claiming to be Pan-Africans, then we should have that zeal to accommodate. Not to accommodate and be peppering people. Not to accommodate and be showing them pepper with your attitude. Stop telling Nigerians that you love them when all you do is to make up stories here and there against them. But is it necessary? There was a time Nigeria did something like that. I could remember the story of 1983. It didn't go down well with a lot of Nigerians. That was a very wrong move by the Nigerian government, led by the then President Shehu Shagari, in response to President Kofi Busia's exodus of Nigerians from Ghana in 1969. In their defense, each government, both Ghana and Nigeria, claimed that their actions was in the best interest of their citizens. To me, that's xenophobia. But I thank God that for the past 40 years, there is nothing like xenophobia in Nigeria. No. So let us just come together as one. I won't support any bad Nigerian, but most of them are not bad. You can just talk about 10%, which are everywhere. It's just that most of your people make up stories against them.